Vaccine hesitancy continues to be a persistent problem in the United States. Only 58.8% of people 12 and older in the U.S. are fully vaccinated. For some, that's led to difficult conversations with vaccine-hesitant friends and family. So, psychiatrist Dr. Sue Varma joins us now with some ideas for navigating these difficult conversations. Sue, so good to see you this morning, and I'm so happy we're having a conversation about this. What would be your advice for people to understand the best way to approach having a conversation with a friend, a family, or a loved one?
Vlad, great to see you and great to join you on this topic. It's so important that we have a sort of open mind, neutral stance, and sort of compassionate and empathic outlook. And that might seem like the farthest thing from our mind right now because we're saying we are angry, we want to move forward with our lives, this is not safe. And there are three things that I think of. We call them the 3 C's of vaccine hesitancy. Is the person that you're talking to feeling complacent? They might say to themselves, I don't have a risk of getting this virus, and I don't have a risk of getting sick from it. And it's very interesting because if we look at the unvaccinated folks, 29% of them actually don't think that they're at risk for getting COVID, as compared to 17% of vaccinated people. That means they estimate the risk to them as being much lower, the unvaccinated group. The next thing is confidence. Do they feel safe? Do they feel as if that they're going to benefit from them? And lastly, we want to look at convenience. Do they think that they're going to get sick? Do they think that they're going to miss a day of work? Are they going to have side effects? And this is so important because when we look at who the vaccinated, unvaccinated population is, a lot of them happen to also be uninsured. And for a lot of people who are uninsured, we're talking about people who might be, don't have facility, don't have access to health care, don't have trust in the healthcare system. So that's really important for us to understand the context in which the person is refusing a vaccine. Well, and here's another thing, Vlad. Low vaccine hesitancy doesn't necessarily mean acceptance. So we want to push them in that direction with credible information.
Dr. Varma, the 3 C's of vaccine hesitancy there, I think a lot of Americans watching might add a 4th C. It ends in Y. I think you can think about what it might be. And on that subject, the reason some of the people we're dealing with in our personal lives are so confounding to us is because they bought into theories or ideas that are completely false online. How do you go about having a conversation with somebody where you correct them or lead them toward the best available science and information?
Such a great question, Tony, and congrats on the newborn. Look, this is a very tough situation because a lot of times we are butting heads with people when we keep throwing facts and science, which is great. And there are some people who can work with you on that, and some people who are in that sort of, I don't know, give me the information, let me feel safe, go with me to the vaccine, get me a good healthcare provider that's going to, give me the vaccine. Those people might be more amenable. But if you have people who are firmly rooted and have been for years, and that's going to tell you that, look, you're probably not going to get far with them. Talk about personal stories. Talk about people you know. Talk about yourself. Talk about your own reasons. Tell them you love them. But what you want to do is not alienate them. And we're going to end up alienating people when we keep pushing facts and science, which are great for some people who can handle it. But for a lot of people, they're going to get defensive and they're going to push you away. So stick with the personal stories about people who've gotten harmed, people who've died, and tell them how it makes you feel, how afraid you are for their life, how you are afraid of the people that are around them who might get sick from them.
And Dr. Varma, in some cases, though, you can tell as you get closer, you're not going to reach the same conclusion or change somebody's mind. It's sort of twofold. How do you end that conversation? And is it okay if you cut ties with people over this, as we've heard some people doing?
Absolutely. And this is a very delicate question because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. There might be a loved one in your life who needs your help for a variety of reasons, and they're unvaccinated. So I think it's really important that you figure out what those boundaries are. For example, you may not want to invite them to an indoor gathering, right? But you might be willing to meet with them outdoors or talk to them on the phone. Keep that lifeline open. Keep that line of communication open if your mental health is being impacted. Because I know a lot of people are saying, I don't feel like I know this person anymore. I thought we were eye to eye. I know a lot of people who are healthcare providers who are deciding not to get the vaccine despite having access to all the information and taking care of very sick patients with COVID. So keeping the lines of communication open, because what we know is isolation and alienation breeds misinformation. So we don't want to make the person feel further isolated and have them go down dark rabbit holes of conspiracy theories when they're by themselves.
Such a good point. You don't want to expel people from your life, but you do want to keep yourself safe and your closest family. Dr. Sue Varma, thank you very much for those reassuring words.